College football is a national sport, but its heart lies in the South. Founded in 1932, the SEC has grown into the undisputed powerhouse of the sport, with an iron grip on the national title race throughout the 21st century. And now, with the conference's high-profile additions of Oklahoma and Texas, its play for world domination feels all but inevitable. Even in the face of an unthinkable 2-year championship drought, it's crystal clear every Saturday that no other conference can match the depth of talent exhibited down south. So with the SEC firmly cemented as college football's top conference, we must look within to find any real intrigue. What's the pecking order of programs within the conference? Let's rank all 16 SEC programs, not just on their outlook for the upcoming season, but for their entire histories, the championships they've won, the Heisman winners they've produced, and the iconic traditions that make each school an unforgettable part of the sport's fabric. So without further ado, let's break it down. You've got a feel for Vanderbilt. Back in 1932, when I imagined some stately gentleman with a handlebar mustache signed them up for the SEC, I can't imagine they foresaw their fate as the league's permanent punching bag. Since the conference's inception, Vanderbilt has won just 25% of their conference games. They've never had a 10-win season, and in nearly a century of football, they've finished a season ranked in the AP poll just 3 times. They failed to qualify for a bowl game from 1955 to 1974, and then again from 1982 to 2008. Think of notable Vandy players in the NFL, and Jay Cutler probably flashes to mind before drawing a complete blank. I could keep piling on, but the case is clear. This is the worst program in the SEC by a wide margin. The 2024 season injected some life in the program, including a signature upset over then number 1 Alabama. But even if Vandy can crawl out of the basement, they've got a mountain to climb before catching any other programs historically.
Fabio wants to throw. He goes down the middle. It is caught. Touchdown.
Do you hear that sound? It's the clanging of those cowbells. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are coming to probably lose to a more established SEC power. They did win the conference once back in 1941, so you can't say they've been eternal punching bags like Vandy, but if we're hearkening back to the World War II era for highlights, you can assume it's a sad state of affairs. That said, the program has had its moments. Dak Prescott's 2014 squad peaked at number 1 in the rankings and played in the Orange Bowl. They had eventual national champs Tennessee on the ropes in the fourth quarter of the 1998 SEC title game, and they've quietly become a factory for elite NFL defensive linemen, producing stars like Jeffrey Simmons and future Hall of Famers like Chris Jones and Fletcher Cox. This is by no means a bad football program, but in the cutthroat SEC, they're clearly stuck in the bottom tier. Football has always played second fiddle in Lexington. You could probably rattle off 50 Kentucky basketball players before a single football player even comes to mind. The Wildcats did have a brief golden era in the late 40s and early 50s under Bear Bryant. Yeah, that Bear Bryant, staking a legitimate claim to the 1950 national title. But once Bear left for Alabama, Kentucky football faded back into the shadows. They've painfully existed as the little brother in their conference rivalries with Tennessee and Florida, who they infamously lost 31 straight games to. Even when they produced a number 1 pick in Tim Couch, his NFL career fizzled fast. Current head coach Mark Stoops has built something solid in recent years, but for all the potential that the Kentucky brand holds, they still haven't made the leap into true conference contention. Aside from an ACC title way back in 1969 and producing Heisman winner George Rogers in 1981, South Carolina had a desolate football history until Steve Spurrier took over the program in 2005. But under the head ball coach, the Gamecocks experienced a golden age in the early 2010s. 3 straight 11-win seasons, a top 5 finish in 2013, and 5 straight wins over hated rival Clemson. For the first time in their history, The program was sparring with the big boys, and the vibe around the program changed overnight.
Good takeoff.
Few pregame atmospheres rival a night game at Williams-Brice Stadium, with the slow build of the 2001 theme exploding into sandstorm as the game kicks off. Talk about goosebumps. There were some dark years after Spurrier left, but under Shane Beamer, the arrow is pointing back up. And with a 12-team playoff opening the door for more contenders, South Carolina is well positioned to take the next step. I'll admit, I had my doubts when Missouri joined the SEC in 2012. They built a solid resume in the Midwest with 12 Big 8 conference titles, but the SEC is a different animal. But to the Tigers' credit, they've acquitted themselves nicely. By year 2, they'd won the SEC East Division and finished 5th in the final AP poll, then repeated the feat by winning the division the next year. Missouri struggled to maintain that momentum after Gary Pinkel's departure, but the program is back on the rise with back-to-back double-digit win seasons.
Leadership standpoint, a big deal. Now Cook's going to throw the deep ball, and Burton's past the defense! Touchdown, Luther Burton!
Missouri's track record this century is impressive. 3 Cotton Bowl wins and legitimate national title contention in 2007. But for all that success, these facts remain. They haven't won a conference title since 1969, and they've never won it all. This is a good, well-run program, but good only gets you so far in the land of giants. Every sport has a "this is our year" team, a program or franchise with enough success to believe in a breakthrough that always finds new, painful ways to fall short. In the SEC, Ole Miss fits the bill perfectly. Take the 2024 season, where Ole Miss had arguably the most talented team in the conference, yet somehow lost to a 4-8 Kentucky team at home, costing them a spot in the playoff. Lane Kiffin has brought excitement back to Oxford, reviving hopes not seen since the program's glory days in the 1950s and 60s, when they staked a claim to 3 national championships. But they're still searching for their first SEC title since 1963. Maybe they'll get there in the coming years, but until then, they'll continue to dominate the tailgate scene more than the title race. The Arkansas Razorbacks were once one of the kings of the Southwest Conference, winning 13 conference titles and the 1964 national championship. But since joining the SEC in 1992, it's been tougher sledding. They've made 3 SEC title game appearances and scored a top 5 finish under Bobby Petrino in 2011, but they've always been overshadowed by other conference elites. Now the program is experiencing its nadir, with 5 losing seasons in the past 8 years. With multiple eras of sustained success, there's a belief that this program can find its way again. But they're trending in the wrong direction, running the risk of sliding into conference irrelevance. Texas A&M's SEC story started with fireworks, immediately scoring a signature season in 2012 by beating Alabama and producing their first Heisman winner, Johnny Manziel, since John David Crow won in 1957. Since then, there has been a whole lot of spending, but not the results they'd have hoped for. The Aggies are all in on football. They've got the 4th largest stadium in the country, backed by their signature 12th man crowd. They paid Jimbo Fisher a fortune to pluck the head coach from Florida State after winning a national title, only to buy him out during his 6th season. Now it's Mike Elko's turn to meet incredibly high expectations. But until they make the leap, I have to think the program misses the rosier days of competing in the Southwest and Big 12, when conference titles were much easier to come by. In any other conference, Auburn would be in the mix as a top football program. But in the SEC, 2 national titles, 3 Heisman winners, and over 800 wins is only good enough to rank 8th amongst their conference brethren. Auburn is one of the 15 or so best programs in the entire sport, but they've long lived in the shadow of their state rivals, the behemoth that is Alabama. But when Auburn has gotten the upper hand on their arch nemesis, they tend to make history. The 24-point comeback in 2010 on the way to a national title, the kick six in 2013, not to mention undefeated seasons in 1993 and 2004 that were unfairly overlooked in the national title race.
Still loose. Oh, did he accelerate? Touchdown, Auburn.
When this program puts it all together, the results are electric. Try to name a better Heisman winning duo than Bo Jackson and Cam Newton. Auburn has struggled of late, with 4 straight losing seasons and only one 10-win season since 2013. But history tells us this program will find its way back, likely in some new, unforgettable way. At the turn of the 20th century, Tennessee was an SEC titan. The Vols dominated in the 90s, won the first BCS national title in 1998, and entered the year 2000 with 6 national title claims, 13 conference titles, and 13 finishes in the top 5 of the AP poll. Their status as a blue blood was secure, but the 25 years since then have been far less kind. Other than 2001, when the Vols were on the cusp of another national title game appearance before LSU shocked them in the SEC title game, the program has been merely fine. But in the SEC, fine is for the middle class, and the Vols have watched many of their rivals surge ahead of them, winning multiple national titles while their success has stalled out. The tides may be finally turning, as Josh Heupel has this program buzzing in ways not experienced since the Phil Fulmer days. With 2 top 10 finishes in the past 3 seasons, the Vols have re-entered the national conversation. But to rejoin the sports elite, they must return to their title-winning ways. If we judged programs only by the last 40 years, Florida would rank much, much higher. The Gators didn't win a conference title until 1984, but since then, they've skyrocketed into college football's elite class. Steve Spurrier took the program to another level in the 90s, finishing in the top 5 in half of his 12 seasons and winning the program's first national title in 1996. Then came the Urban Meyer era, which brought 2 more national titles in 2006 and 2008, cementing the program's iconic modern status. But this is a historical ranking, and Florida's lack of success before the 80s, combined with a steep decline since Urban Meyer left the program, holds them back from the top 5. Still, the fact that they rank above Auburn and Tennessee, 2 programs with longer track records, illustrates the strength of the program's peak. The question now is, has Florida's golden era come and gone, or is another one around the corner? Much like Florida, LSU's modern-day dominance overshadows a quieter early history for the program. LSU has become one of the most distinguishable, exciting brands in the sport, with an unmatched home atmosphere and a ridiculous pipeline of NFL talent, including 2 Heisman Trophy winning QBs in the last 6 years, and arguably the top 2 receivers in the NFL in Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. The results have been just as impressive on the field: 3 national titles under 3 different coaches, 5 conference titles, and 13 double-digit win seasons since 2000. Even in their down years, LSU rarely falls far, consistently finishing inside the top 20. At this rate, if the next 25 years look anything like the last 25, LSU might move beyond just SEC royalty and into the national top 5 conversation. Earlier, I labeled Ole Miss as the "this is our year" team, but for decades, Georgia had a stranglehold on the label. After their Herschel Walker-led title run in 1980, the Dogs formed a reputation as a team that was perennially in the mix, but could never get over the hump. Florida spoiled their national title hopes in 2002. Tennessee prevented them from competing for the 2007 SEC crown, and Alabama crushed their dreams in the 2012 SEC title game and 2017 national championship.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Eventually, though, those close calls turned into a breakthrough, with Georgia winning back-to-back titles in the 2021 and 2022 seasons. They've now overtaken Alabama as the steadiest force in the conference, finishing in the top 10 for 8 straight seasons and in the top 5 in 5 of those seasons. With Kirby Smart leading the charge and the monkey off the program's back, they're no longer chasing the mountaintop, they're building a dynasty. Bringing Texas and Oklahoma into the SEC was like adding Kevin Durant to the Warriors. The conference already had an edge. Now it's powerful enough to form its own sport altogether. Texas, who rank 5th all-time in wins, showed they belonged right away, nearly winning the conference title in their first season and advancing further in the playoff than any other SEC team. The program experienced a lull in the 2010s after Mac Brown's departure, but Steve Sarkisian has the Longhorns on the brink of national championship glory, which the program hasn't tasted since 2005. Despite a long title drought, the breadth of Texas's resume secures their placement in the top 3 here. They've had twice as many top 5 finishes as programs like Florida or LSU. Their 31 conference titles across the Southwest and Big 12 are twice as many as any SEC program besides Alabama can claim. And best of all, the Longhorns have a winning record against every single SEC program except, inexplicably, South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Critics may chalk up those numbers to weaker competition over the years, but if Texas quickly establishes SEC supremacy, those voices will get much quieter. I'm sure Texas fans are level-headed seeing Oklahoma, a team they lead head-to-head in their bitter rivalry, ranked ahead of them here. But Oklahoma leads where it matters most, with 7 national titles, nearly double Texas's total. Since the SEC's founding in 1932, Oklahoma has won 47 conference titles, just one fewer than Florida, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee combined. The Sooners have finished in the top 5 of the AP poll 33 times, nearly the same number of times Florida has finished ranked in the top 25 altogether. Add in 7 Heisman winners across 5 decades and 4 coaches with 100+ wins, and you have college football's model program for consistency. But here's the twist. That consistency is starting to wobble in a way that we haven't seen in modern times. The Sooners have posted losing records in 2 of the last 3 seasons, including a brutal 2-6 SEC debut, all while Texas is ascending nationally. History gives Oklahoma quite the cushion on the number 2 spot, but if they can't adapt to life in the SEC, it's only a matter of time before that legacy loses some of its shine. The suspense in these rankings was about who'd finish where leading up to the top spot, but number 1 was never in question. Alabama doesn't just rule the SEC, they've dominated the entire sport. The Tide hold the highest winning percentage in college football history. Their 18 claimed national titles, not counting the Ivy League dynasties of the late 1800s, are 6 more than any other modern program. There's an Oklahoma-sized gap between them and the programs that are chasing them down. Think about that. In a conference packed with powerhouses, Alabama has still won twice as many SEC titles as anyone else. And the fact that Bear Bryant, who won 6 national titles, is arguably the 2nd greatest coach in school history, says it all. The shadows of Nick Saban and Bear Bryant will loom large over Kalen DeBoer and anyone else brave enough to follow in their footsteps. Skeptics may even wonder if the dynasty can survive without either legend leading the way. But Alabama already rebuilt once, cementing their program as the greatest in the sport. Who's to say they won't do it again? Thanks for listening, and as always, please share your thoughts in the comments. Which program did I rank too highly? Who am I underrating? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.